Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Observability and Security track. I'm joined here by George Kosmidis, and we're going to go right over to his talk on creating and publishing a Blazor component as a Nuget package. I'm excited. Have fun.
Thank you, Patrick. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this event. I know you've got some very interesting topics already, but I hope I will introduce you to some very interesting things about Blazor. So, the way I'm doing things usually is to have a few slides, not much, and then jumping directly into hands-on stuff like Sync Studio and Azure DevOps, GitHub, whatever we're going to use. So, just bear with me for a few slides, not going to be much, and we are done. First of all, everything is fine and you're seeing my screen. I'm sharing my screen correctly, right? If something is wrong, just ping me. So that's me. I'm George Kosmidis, and Microsoft MVP, Cloud Solution Architect, and .NET Software Engineer. You can reach out in all of the social handles that you can see at the end. I've learned out of experience that my name is a bit more difficult, so I created this QR code you can scan and reach out. You can find a page that with all my links for social media. Now, I just have to note this when I agreed with the Conf guys that were very polite to do this talk. I was working at Allplan, and this is what you see there. But things have changed, and I'm now working at Slalom. Actually, I start like this Tuesday in a week, right? Um, Not much here since we don't have enough time. Let's move on directly to Blazor. As I promised, just a few slides about Blazor. So, what is Blazor in general, right? Blazor is targeting people that they are trying to avoid any JavaScript coding experience. There are people that don't like weakly typed languages, or that like me, I almost hate variable hosting. I don't know where is what. TypeScript tried, and it did it to attract some of those devs. Some others went towards React, Angular. There is no best choice, right? It's a flavored approach. So JavaScript flavors ruled the front end world for so long that at the end, JavaScript in the form of Node.js start infiltrating, let's say, the backend world. Strongly typed languages fought back, and at the end, the ASP.NET team was first to introduce a completely new approach, a solution to this problem, let's say, if it is a problem. It's called Blazor. So it is actually an attempt to run a strongly typed language like C Sharp to the front end and help everyone that wants minimal interaction, let's say with JavaScript, just write C Sharp as he knows it and do the same things. So in essence, let me underline here that Blazor is not here to replace JavaScript. They are working together, but it can minimize, let's say, your interaction with Blazor. So Blazor comes in two flavors: the WebAssembly and the server side. The WebAssembly runs completely in the browser. So you write your code, assemblies are downloaded one time only in the browser, and then everything runs there. And then there is the server side, which the communication between the browser and the server is done with SignalR, yeah, with WebSocket. So it's direct communication. In any case, you don't see anything changing in the browser. You don't see actual refresh or anything, even in web tools or I think we'll see that later anyway. So we know more or less what is Blazor now, but what is a Blazor component? So Blazor applications in general are created using components which are they are flexible, they are lightweight, they can be nested, they can be reused, they can be shared between projects. Components then in a sense are self-contained chunks of user interface, right? It can be a dialogue, it can be a form, it can be an entire page. That's also a component. This is, for example, the component. This is from the sample, from the Microsoft sample that comes when you start a new Blazor application. Very simple thing. You just click a button, the button that you see here. Uh, this method runs here. The counter increases, and this counter, you can see how it increases live here without any refresh or anything. So, as I promised, not too many slides. We are ready. Let's see some Visual Studio, how we start with a Blazor, because we need to do a few things. This is a bit ahead, so let me minimize it. I was um, practicing before we start. So let's start Visual Studio from the beginning. I will scroll. Okay, it started over here. Perfect. Create a new project. Yeah, just need to wait a minute. Type Blazor. These are the two flavors, the two choices: the WebAssembly that runs completely on the browser, and the server app that is more or less client-server application connected with Blazor. I will use this one for now, but feel free to play around. Not many things change. So just, of course, as a side note here, it's relatively an easy choice, right? You understand that when you are using WebAssembly, you are moving all your computational load to your browser, to the customers. So if that load is big, it's huge, most probably your browser, the customer browser, will not be able to handle it, and you will have a very slow application doing probably nothing. On the other hand, you have an application that it has minimal computational speed and requirements, and its client can just spend a few milliseconds on his browser to do things. Then you do that, and when you do that, you are actually lowering the cost of your cloud infrastructure of Azure, for example, because no computation is happening there. There is a chance, of course, to do bigger projects, vast projects where computational loads are very big, and then you are choosing the server side Blazor. So let's start like that. Blazor up to whatever. Let's continue. .NET 6, nothing to change here. Wait a minute to create that. Do I have anything else running? I hope not, and I don't. Okay. Whenever I'm sharing my screen, things go extremely slow, to be honest, but it will load, trust me. So that's it for anyone that he has an idea about Razor. He will find this very familiar, right? So let's go. This is our third pages, our main layout, the navigation menu on the right, some survey that's popped up, the import, the global using that we have for applications. So it's Razor, and you will see that later even more. These are the pages, the actual pages that are coming as a sample, and this is the counter. This is more or less what we've seen in the PowerPoint solution. A button, you click on the button, this method runs here, and this variable increasing is visible here. If we run it, you will see that actually nothing happens to the browser. No reload, no nothing. Yeah, sharing my screen, as I said, make things quite slower. That's why it's better. Later on, we will switch to a project that is already ready in GitHub, not have these delays, let's say. Let me see where will the browser pop up. Will here. So let me bring it to the other screen. Okay, that is a default sample application that comes loading. The first time that you will see this, it shouldn't be that slow, obviously, and it's not that slow if you try it without presenting. A lot of assemblies are downloaded to the browser, this is happening only once, and then every subsequent request to that web page has everything ready, right? So I don't know why it stopped now. Let me check the uh, is there anything here running? No, this is running perfectly fine. Ah, it's here. So that's the counter we were talking about. And when we are clicking, you can see that the current count is increasing without anything happening to the browser. So all of this thing is running on the browser, no JavaScript or nothing. It's just C Sharp, right? It's WebAssembly. So it's pretty cool if you ask me. Now let's go a step back. We are here with our Blazor app, and we want to create a component, as we said. Everything is a component, so we could very well consider this component, right? The entire page, as we said before. But we want to create, if we want to push it into Nuget as a new component, we want to create a new assembly. This is again extremely easy and very familiar to everyone that's working already with Razor. So let's add a new project, which will be Razor as library. Exactly that. Next. Let's keep that name. It's not very important now. .NET 6. And we are more or less done. Now we have a component ready. How do we call it? How do we interact with it? So, of course, we need to go here and add a reference to our project reference to our main project. Let's go here and reference library. Now that screen that I'm sharing, it's big enough so you can see. I hope you're seeing good enough. If there is any problem with that, just send a message. Yeah, I referenced my assembly, the component. Now I can go, for example, to the main layout, or I can go to the index page here, and under this one, try to reference the assembly. Uh, I think the name was, I didn't change it at all, right? So let's just copy it, Razor class library. Can run the Razor class library. Ah, everything was done almost automatically. Now, one more thing. Once you create your class library might want to have some services to register in the IOC in the container, right? This is usually done by adding a dependency injection class here, then registering everything you want in the program CS. For now, since we don't want anything in the container, we don't need to do anything. We can run that. Hope this time it will be much faster, and we will see immediately our component, and time is 15:33. uh, App is starting again. Not much faster as I was expecting, but anyway. So this is our component. See, it was that easy. This means that we have completely isolated piece of code and assembly that we can do everything, anything we want here, and then just publish it as a NuGet package later on. Now, with a sample, as a sample, we have this JavaScript interop. Blazor is able to Blazor has an interoperability with JavaScript, and you can call actually JavaScript, run JavaScript on the browser, and get feedback, get stuff back from the browser. Now, it comes with this very simple JavaScript. It runs a message, right? Nothing special. A prompt, and then with this code here, which is the a wrapper of our JavaScript component. So a nice thing you can do if you want to dive in directly into writing Blazor components and be helpful for the community is get a JavaScript component that it's out there and you like, and just create a wrapper, you're done. You have your Blazor component ready for everyone to use. So what this does is it invokes the show prompt from the JavaScript file, this thing here. Don't need to get into more details now because our topic today is not that much about how to do Blazor, but how to publish it as a Nuget package, and we have a lot of stuff to do. And this CS here, this class here, we can register it in our component. How we do that? Again, if someone is familiar with JavaScript, I'm sorry for these delays, but they also make me understand I need a better decision enough. Let's inject it's called example interop and let's name it JS for speed. We want to run this prompt. So what we can do actually to run this prompt, let's go to sorry, here to fetch data. Where is it? Here. Let's go to fetch data and just copy the code here, this part, so I don't have to write it. Go back to our component and paste it here. We are missing a bracket, as I can see. We don't need this, of course. And on initializing async, what we need to do is actually run prompt method, unless I'm wrong. We have Visual Studio to help us here, so we'll see. DS, oops, sorry, not capital. DS prompt, wasn't it? Yes. And we can have here hello or whatever. Now, this is almost done, but if you remember a minute ago, I told you that usually what you would do is you create a dependency injection class here, and you have all the services that you need to register in the IOC container here. And then you're coming here and you're just calling this dependency, this static method, usually called add register, whatever, my component services. Now we don't have that, and what we need to do is register that service, the example JS in the ROP. So let's go here, services, let's add it as singleton. It's nothing that we need to care much right now. And it was example JS in the ROP. Come on, help me a bit here. I have another here. No suggestions? Example JS in the ROP. I will write it on my own. In the ROP, and then it will tell me what I'm missing, obviously. Quick actions using, and we are done. So you see, up until now, writing Blazor is nothing new. There is no new learning curve that you have to pass. There are some strange things that you will find out about Blazor. I mean, being a bit different than actual Razor, but your knowledge, what you already know about .NET and C# is there, right? I don't know why this is still in the termination cannot be found. I think I added it, didn't I? But I added the using, I think. Okay. So now if we rerun our application, and I could try the hot reload, but anyway, we will see that upon loading, besides having this dust container of the, we'll also have a prompt, hopefully. Maybe I should choose, yeah. So that's our hello message. That's the JavaScript prompt. Okay, I didn't do anything with the return. We could take the return and just type it here or do whatever. But in any case, you understand that you can write C sharp as we are doing here in the counter to actually do some stuff on the browser, but you can also write a wrapper for known JavaScript components. Or if you want to write JavaScript, you can write then a wrapper. Suddenly your JavaScript component can also be translated, be used as a Blazor component. This is what's happening with this JS and the ROP. And the good thing is that everything we've shown up until now, it's part of the Microsoft samples, right? When you start a Blazor application, you will see just this. And when you add a Razor component in your application, then you will have this as a sample. So now that we have a better idea about Blazor and how we can do components and how similar is with what we've learned so far, what we know so far, let's jump, and it is a jump, into a ready component. I have to restart the app? Give me a second. I'm booting Studio again. This component is actually a weather widget that it's out there as a Nuget package, available for people to use it. I didn't invest much time, so I'm not sure how free it is, let's say, because it was usually it was built during talks. I talk about more detail, talked about Blazor, and more detail talked about DevOps and stuff. All of those talks end up being this component, which still loads. So same thing as before. We have our main application and we have our component. This app is just, let's say, a wrapper. Yeah, I wanted to see how things work, and this is actually deployed as an app service, as a static web app. Yeah, as a static web app in Azure, so we can actually see it running. The core though is the weather widget. Now, if we go here in the pages, in the application, and in the index, we only have one page here. It's one page site, let's say. Have some blah 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 on how you can find the component, and down here refers to the component itself. This is what we did before, that we reference the dot component one. This component is named weather widget, as you can see also with the names here. And we can also pass properties. So we can pass some default values, or we can interact with it. So we can customize, let's say. For now, I only pass the current city. So this is the default city of someone wanting to see weather, as you can understand by the name, by weather city, weather widget. But there are other things you can do besides just passing the city, the default city that you want. You can also pass a custom template on how this weather widget will be parsed. Let's go directly to see it in GitHub and in Azure, because if we try to run that here, I'm afraid while um, presenting, it will take a long time. I think I have the GitHub page open already. Yes, I have it here, so we can see that. Where is it? So and this I was trying. I didn't have enough time to also present something with GitHub Actions instead of doing it with Azure DevOps. Maybe next time. So we have our component, everything is ready. We need the repo. We push our code to the repo, and then as the next steps, what we want to do is get only our component, build it, and push it as a NuGet package, right? For that, we want some help. We want CI/CD, and what we will see today is done with Azure DevOps. GitHub Actions is mostly the same. This is the weather widget that we were talking about. I hope it still runs. Yeah. This is the default template, a template that comes with the NuGet package. And this is a user-defined template, as you saw already in the code. So if we go back here, and you visit this repo, you will see this is the component. And oh no, let's go step. This is the component, correct? But this is the app. Third, sorry again, I need to focus a bit. Pages, index razor, and at first we have the component itself, and then we have a custom template that I just wrote as a sample. This is what we see here. We can also change that to, I don't know, let's say London, and we will get weather for London. And everything is done again without any kind of refresh, right? So there are extensive explanations here of how exactly to use it and how what you need to develop it. But this is for anyone that wants to get deeper into Blazor. For us, what we know wanna do now is the second step is those two things: publish it to Nuget and use a pipeline to actually do it. Now, what do we need to do that? First of all, we need to go to nuget.org. Here, yeah, you log in. You can see a list of all your components, published or not. This is the Blazor weather widget that we have here, and some other component that I'm playing around with conferences. You can add a new component. This is maybe sometimes a good idea to do it. I will explain later why, but the main reason is that you will see later, security wise, why it's a good idea to do it now. But one of the good reasons that we can see now is because we have let's say an error checking if everything is correct. In order to have our NuGet package published, we need to have some additional. I have two windows. My PC can't handle that. We need to have some additional properties here. I will let you show you now. So we run down to package. We need to check this one in order to create a NuGet package. And then by scrolling, we need the package version. Definitely, these are not necessary. But one other thing that it is mandatory, it's, give me some time, we will finally, I can go here, license. You need to choose a license for your component, whatever you need to publish to NuGet. And in order to do that, you need to choose either embed a license if you have your own legal department or something, or choose this format. For that one is Apache 2.0, or you can also have MIT, right? This is the only properties that you need to keep in mind in order to publish the NuGet package. And if you build a solution, you will get a NuGet package right here. Oops. Here, let's open containing folder. It's that one, and it is 48. We have some time. Debug. You get your NuGet package here. So you can come here. Let's copy this path. Come to NuGet and .org and find your file here. Upload it. This verifies, yeah, my NuGet package is already there. One thing I could do was to change this number to 106, and then it would accept it, or have a different package name. Yeah, assuming your package is unique and new, you will not have this problem. You will get through this stage, and then you are done. You uploaded your package for the first time. Once you do that, you need to come here to API keys. In order to be able to upload NuGet packages with any CI/CD, you need to somehow verify that you are the owner of that NuGet package, right? And in order to do that, you are doing it with keys. This is an old key, some presentation probably. What do we, didn't I delete it? What do we need from that key now? What do we need to do? The key name, let's say that it's a test Blazor key name, expires. Let's have it expired tomorrow. And then the scopes or the permissions. This key can either push new packages or only new package versions. This is the security thing I was telling you before, because if you have a key and somehow this gets around, then they can upload packages in your name, new packages. But if you have it here, at least, yeah, they might mess around with the old packages, but you can revert them back and not, no big uh, damage is done. You can also have this unchecked because unlisting a package is usually not done by a CI/CD process. And now that we are having the information, the scope that this key can only push new package versions, the question is for which packages that we already have. Let's assume it's for that package, create, and wait, where is it? Here. Now we have this copy. This action here, just copy it in the clipboard, the key, and this can be done just for a few minutes. After some time, this copy function will go away and you will not be able to copy it again. So you will need to regenerate the key. As you can see here, there is no copy here. But now we have it in clipboard. So let's go to the next step. And what time is it? It's 15:50. Okay, we have some time. Let's go to dev azure.com. This is from another presentation. So let's go here. Once here, you need to either create or use another project that you already have, right? Let's try to create one, and then we will go back to this weather widget project so we can see what's happening there, because it's a nice starting point for you to remember. So new project. Let's test that test. Let's name that. Sorry, test Blazor. It's public one, totally fine. Create. Ah, it will take a few seconds, not much, but there everything is slow. So I don't know now if it's Azure DevOps or my browser. Anyway, done that. First thing we need to do is go to project settings here, scroll down a bit, and I know we will not use boards at all, so we can remove it, but we will use pipelines. And you could also use repos, but we have our code in GitHub, right? So we don't need that for now. We enabled repos. We can go back to the first page. Let's go here. And we have our project with a pipeline ready. So before we start creating our pipeline or jumping into the pipeline of the weather widget, we need to do one more thing. In order to call the to be able to access Nuget.org, we need to have a service connection. I think it's called service reference here. If I, it's called service connection. So we create a new service connection with Nuget, and then we need an API key. This is the API key. I think it's, yeah, it's not visible even now. And you might have a custom NuGet server, right? But this is for the public one. Let's go here. Service connection name, test Blazor connection. Let's have it like that. And yes. Grant permissions to all pipelines. This is not actually something that you should do in a real life project. You should not give permission to the pipeline you want, because usually we assign pipelines to different teams or people, and only the ones that you choose to have permissions to publish new NuGet packages should have permissions to actually do it, right? But for now, we don't really mind saving. And now we have this connection with a NuGet server. If we go back in the pipelines, how we use it, we can actually switch. What time is it? Yeah, we can actually switch to the ready project now, to the weather widget, so we can see stuff here to a pipeline. Well, I have three pipelines that there are here. One is to push a release to NuGet. The other is just builds everything. And the other releases the sample page that we've seen here, this one. So for my repo, I'm following the release flow. It's something that I would advise, which means that you can push whatever you want to main. The main pipeline that you've seen there already is just running tests, and if everything is correct, it doesn't push anything to NuGet. And whenever I create a branch, a release branch with a specific version, then this release pipeline here fires and sends the new release to nuget.org. Now, how things are done. As I said already, I try to make the screen a bit, yeah, maybe that's better. And can I don't know. Anyway, it runs only on release branches. I need Windows because I want to build Blazor. Install, it's not actually installed, it's set up. I would, or use .NET 6. We don't need to install it, it's already there. So I should change that to use. We publish the application. If you remember that checkbox here and how important that is, it means that it will, with publish, it will also create a NuGet package, right? Uh, but in any case, we also pack it here. And we're saying that we need this specific weather widget, this specific CS prods. We don't care, of course, to pack the entire application, the UI, that thing here. And then the last one, it's this. We want to push everything into NuGet. We choose only the NuGet package. This is easy. We have only one because we built only one out of it. And the credentials, the published credentials, the ones that I named before, was it test dash Blazor dash NuGet dash con is now NuGet here. This is the name. So if we go here to the settings, the new window, and in service connections, we'll see that exactly what we did before, and we named it uh, test-blazor-con. I named it here in NuGet. Maybe I should have found a not so abstract or general name, but anyway, this is what we have here. We are telling him that, the credentials in order to be able to publish this feed are named NuGet. So this is the way actually to keep them safe and outside the public eyes, yeah, or the team's eyes. And that is it. Once we run something now, we will be able to push a new version. And we can also see that if we go to the Blazor GitHub, the weather widget here, what we can do is we already have 5 brands. What we can do is let's go from early on, from here, to see the process exactly. Let's see the version. We scroll up. No, come on. This is the latest version we have. Let's assume a change and name that version 6. We build, see that everything is correct. This build will also give us a NuGet package in the output folder, in the bin folder of our component. And we could very well upload it manually, right? With the way we see before. But what we need to do here is actually publish it. So we're in the main branch, and based on the release flow, on the Git release flow, we can very well push whatever we want here. I'm also, I think I've set myself as an admin, obviously. So if I go, let's do it everything from within Studio. If I go here, I see that the only change, of course, it's the version change, and I can just version change for representation, right? Without the B. Commit all and push our changes, and this will fire up all the sequence. Now, one of those things will not work already. Uh, it will not publish anything here in the static web app that I have, because the service connection that I have with Azure changed. I had a pay-as-you-go subscription that my subscription ID was published to more people and to during a presentation, and I had to change that. So if you go here, just leave it, and we'll see later how things um, fired up. Service connection. What? No, sorry. Service connection. This is my subscription that I was using. This changed already because the subscription ID was visible, and now it cannot publish. I will change it sometime, but let's see. Now I have another subscription to use. So if we go back to our pipelines, we can close that and go back. The main is running already. The sample and Nuget don't run because we don't have a release brand, right? This main, if we go through it, we have, I think, 10 minutes more. And please feel free if you have any questions. It's just doing, sorry, it's just building and checking if everything is okay and if all tests pass and if you can have a NuGet package, and also it builds the markdown in order to be able to publish it, yeah, later on. So all of those are done here, but not because I want to publish them, just because I want to test that I can actually create a NuGet package and everything. Now, if I go to my repo here and try to create a new branch, for example, let's see, how can I do it within GitHub? I'm not very sure because I'm usually doing it outside, but let's see. How can I do a new branch? How can I create a new branch here? Main. Maybe I will do it from Studio and or from Git, and that is it. Yeah, so just not to lose time right now, it's interesting to find out, but let's do it from Studio. What we can do here, where is Git? What we can do here is actually come here, create a new branch named release. Just do I use the V? Let me check. I wanna be consistent at least. Yeah, and this was 106, right? V106. This is, of course, not the proper way. We need to tag the version. We need to do a lot more things, but let's just see the actual pipelines running. And we can push that. Let's change here because I will forget it. Now, if we come here, most probably what we have is another branch. Okay, is another branch, the 106. And if we go to the pipelines over here, hopefully, yeah, they are running. This will fail because it will not manage to push this. There is no subscription for that. And this will manage to work. We can check how it's doing. Here, let's see the Pine if we have any questions or anything. I think it's Google Chrome, and this one, I think everything goes well here. So what this is actually doing is using a runner. It's picking up a runner and available running. Everything is for free anyway that we did so far, so you can feel free to do that. It says install, but it doesn't install .NET 6. It's setting up .NET 6. It will use NuGet. This step, I think it's not necessary now. I could remove it, the NuGet tool installer. Then it uses the .NET Publish to publish the solution. It uses the .NET Pack to pack the solution and create a NuGet package, and then it uses NuGet push to actually push the content, the NUPKG, into nuget.org. Very important step before that is to change your version, because if we try to run, we can do it that later. If we try to run the pipeline again without changing the version, of course we'll get the same message as trying to upload the version, the one that we saw before. But this combination, package ID and version, is already up there, and we can see it. You can't upload it.
George,
Yes,
we're actually through with regards to the time,
we
but I
are
see
we.
you've, yeah,
Okay, okay. It's a nice, because yeah, I don't have much things to say anymore. I mean, you have to believe me that this will run correctly, and that is it. Yeah, I
yeah.
thought it was 15, to be honest. That's why I was more relaxed.
No
But
worries, no
anyway,
worries. It was oh 05, yeah. Um, I really like this session actually. Very practical, starting with the Blazor package, actually uploading it to Nuget and then setting up the pipeline. This is
yeah,
the final phase of actually pushing a new version.
hmm,
But I,
exactly,
I don't think
exactly.
it's going to go wrong here.
No, it already worked,
Yeah.
so done.
So thanks, everyone. This is the last session for the observability and security track. The next session will be the keynote, and it will be on the first track. Um, So we'll see you on that one. George Kosmidis, everyone. Check him out in the speaker info. Links to his socials will be there. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Patrick.
No problem.